he'll certainly get the team at Cardiff organised, hard to beat. I'd describe his football as sturdy and pragmatic. He's going to be remembered for one of the most sensational collapses in Championship history. Sabri Lamouchi is back in the Championship at Cardiff. Becomes the Bluebirds' third manager this season, replacing Mark Hudson, who replaced Steve Morison. His job? To get Cardiff out of relegation bother, with the club sat one place above that dotted line, 18 EFL games to play, and their two nearest rivals have games in hand in their pocket. Let me know what you think of the appointment and how you think Lamouchi will go down there in the comments. I'll give you my take right now. Lamouchi has a decade of managerial experience, taking in international football with the Ivory Coast, as well as league football in France and Qatar. Obviously, our main point of reference here is that season and a bit he spent at Nottingham Forest from 2019. The Frenchman arrived at the start of the 1920 season, replacing Nottingham Forest legend Martin O'Neill. Despite being a creative attacking midfielder, I'd describe his football as sturdy and pragmatic, heavy focus on team shape, being good without the ball, and hard to beat first and foremost. Lamouchi used a very solid 4-2-3-1 shape. It was safety first, but he got good tune out of inside forwards Joe Lolly and Sammy Amiobi, with Lewis Graben scoring the goals. He helped with the development of the youngsters Ryan Yates and Joe Worrell, now playing in the Premier League, and gets a big thumbs up from me for converting Matty Cash from a so-so Championship winger to a £15 million Championship fullback. Unfortunately for Lamouchi, he's going to be remembered for one of the most sensational collapses in Championship history. At the end of game 41, Nottingham Forest conceded a really late stoppage time goal against rivals Derby, denying them a win that would have taken them to 70 points. They then took 2 points from the last 4 games to actually land on 70 points, and were victims of a mind-bending 6-goal swing in the final half hour of the season to drop off out of the playoffs by 1 goal. To quote Martin Tyler, "I swear you'll never see anything like it again." Forest, as was the tendency of Mr. Marianakis then, signed and sold another rather large batch of players. They started the next season badly, and Lamouchi was sacked. I do actually remember doing a particularly awkward watch-along of one of Lamouchi's last Forest games away at Huddersfield, and the rather frosty body language of a certain player on the touchline as he was brought on did nothing to quieten the lost the dressing room rumours. In short then, my take on Lamouchi at Forest is that for the most part, he was actually good, and I'm still not entirely sure how they didn't end up getting in the playoffs. Obviously, we can't sit here and ignore a massive collapse and a firing after a poor start to the next season. I'll let you decide where you land. I suppose the most unforgiving assessment says he oversaw an unforgivable bottling and then lost the dressing room and got fired. The most kind assessment says he was massively unlucky at the end of the season, and then Mr. Marianakis confused matters at the start of the next season. I think I'm probably closer to siding with the fact that a few things conspired against Sabri Lamouchi at Forest, but I definitely hear out the argument to the contrary. In fact, you can even make that argument to my face if that's what you believe. If you sign up over on Patreon, come and join me and the gang in a debate during our lively monthly roundtable discussions, as well as getting some extra exclusive content. Anyway, that's the history of my shameless plug-in. Can he help Cardiff? Of course he can, and there's probably a good argument that the Lamouchi style of play is actually better suited to a team trying to chip away and get above a point per game, get themselves out of trouble, than it is suited to a team trying to push towards 80 points and get themselves in the playoffs. I'd imagine he'll certainly get the team at Cardiff organised, hard to beat, and my subjective take, just my opinion, is that squad-wise, Cardiff certainly have the resources to succeed if we look simply through the prism of bottom 3 and getting away from it, which I think we'd all admit right now has to be the aim. Lamouchi brings with him Sol Bamba, who was promoted with Neil Warnock at Cardiff in 2018. Now, I can't speak to Bamba's coaching credentials, but from a fan connectivity and from a PR point of view, smart move that ticks a few boxes there. My take on this hire, for what it's worth, and I'll add a big caveat, if Cardiff get the Lamouchi that was there for the first 80% of his Nottingham Forest run, then this appointment should work out absolutely fine and solidify Cardiff for a decent run towards the end of the season. We normally get very worried though about teams having 3 managers in the same season, just ownership and chaos wise. So we'll not be taking Cardiff off red alert watch for a little while yet. There are, of course, bigger, wider issues and questions at play in terms of Cardiff and the longer term plan and vision there. That is probably better explained over here in my video looking at the recent sacking of Mark Hudson.